Yo, what is up, guys? Back again to the channel. So today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top 10 live-action comic book villains. Whether it's live-action show or movie. These are my top 10, alright? First up on the list, we have Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker. I don't even have to explain why he's number one. The performance Heath Ledger gave for the role of Joker in the Dark Knight trilogy was beautiful. One of the best acting in a comic book movie ever. Definitely top tier comic book casting, acting, character, you know what I'm saying? It was fantastic. He was a straight up menace. He actually felt like a scary version of Joker. Yeah. Next up on the list, we have Josh Brolin's Thanos. Thanos has one of the most best villain lines ever in a comic book movie. When he says, I forgot exactly what he said, but he said all that. I forgot what he said. He had he said I hope they remember you, stuff like that, and he says I forgot that quote where he says in Endgame where he says lead you all back to me. He said where did that bring you? Back to me. So that's he has one of the best villain lines ever. That's why he's number 2 in the top 10. And yeah, great villain. Josh Brolin kills it as Thanos. He's the perfect casting for Thanos, and I love it, man. Honestly, man, best casting ever. No, one of the best castings ever. Next up on the list, we have Reverse Flash. Okay, I'm talking about Reverse Flash on the CW show. He was one of the best villains ever. He's definitely a top 3 DC villain, live action villains. But the performance that Tom Cavanaugh gave to Reverse Flash, he made him scary. Reverse Flash's character was so unpredictable. One moment you can't even tell if he would kill you or not. When he had Cisco and that they fixed the timeline and he crushed Cisco's heart. Then and there, you just the acting. When he was walking up, he says, "You were like a son to me," and then he crushes his heart. That's one of the best performances ever, man. He did it perfectly, man. And then him when he's explaining that he killed his mother and stuff like that, he's like, "I killed your mother, and you still this and that." He was just perfect as the role, man. And the villain, his villain was just perfect, man. Perfect. He is honestly the best villain in the Flash series. Next up, we got Zoom. He is below Reverse Flash, but he is definitely my top 10. He is one of the most scariest villains ever. Scariest. Yeah, scariest. Because, just the way he acts, the way he is, the whole face looks like a monster. He doesn't even look like a human. And, I love that line. He's in second place for best villain lines. He said, Flash said, "What do you want to be, a hero?" Because that's what Reverse Flash was. He became Reverse Flash because he couldn't be the Flash. He said, "What do you want to be, a hero?" He said, "Heroes die." Bro, that was one of the coldest lines ever. And then he says to give people. They asked him, why would you fake being a hero? He said, to give people hope. He said, why? So I can rip it away from them. And bro, that line right there gave me chills, man. One of the best lines ever in a comic book show or movie. Top tier villain. Definitely one of the best TV show villains. But yeah, great, man. Next up, we have this. By the way, this is not Daredevil. He is the villain in the series Daredevil, but he is not Daredevil. He is Bullseye. He stole Daredevil's costume to pretend to be him. He is definitely a top tier villain. His acting was just great, man. His acting was great. And the way he talked, the way he was, and this and that, you know what I'm saying, was just fabulous. It was perfect. And just him being because at first he was working with Wilson Fisk, and then the last episode when he finds out that he killed his girlfriend. I mean, Kingpin killed his girlfriend. It was one of the best scenes, and like it's unfortunate we didn't get to see a season 4 of Daredevil with him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Obviously, hopefully we can see more of that in the future. There are rumors going around that season 4 of Daredevil will happen in Disney Plus. We'll see them. Next up we have Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. Perfect performance, perfect villain. He had the entire city corrupt, and the acting was just beautiful. It was just perfect, man, and I loved it, man. I think he is definitely one of the best villains ever, best performances ever, and one of the best comic book villains ever. Like, he was just perfect for the role, man, and I loved it, man. Like same with him about Reverse Flash. Like say if like one of his partners, like say if like a guy who's working for him, right? If he's working for Wilson Fisk on a bad day, they're done. They're done. Like, if he needs someone to get his anger out on, he'll get his anger out on you. One of the best villains ever. The way he had the whole city corrupt and had Daredevil running around the city, like, going crazy, was great, man. I loved it. Next up, we have Prometheus. Oh, yeah. Same way. He was always steps ahead from Daredevil, so which I love. I love villains who are, like, steps ahead of you, and they make you go, what I do? Like, this and that. That was so much fun. Same with Prometheus. He was a steps ahead. Like, he sets a green arrow. Everything you touch dies. That was one of the coldest lines ever. And he's one of the coldest villains ever, man. And this version of Adrian Chase, in the CW show, Adrian Chase is on Prometheus. But he was perfect, man. And, like, he actually had anger for Green Arrow. And you can actually feel it. And, like, in his last scene where he's like, when he gives Oliver back his son. I mean, when Oliver gets his son back, and he's like, that's good, you guys have each other. And then he shoots himself, and you got that, like, background music, the background song, and he shoots himself, and then the whole island blows up. Straight up menace, man. And then before that, he lies to Oliver and says his son died. Man, he is one of the best. He is basically like kind of like Joker. Like, he wanted Oliver to cross the line and kill him. But Oliver changes the way he was. And he didn't want to kill him. So, yeah. Crazy. And I loved it, man. Yeah. Next up, we got Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. I don't even have to explain it. He was fantastic in the very first Spider-Man. But he stepped up his game 10 times more in Spider-Man No Way Home. He was such a menace, man. And, like, the fact that he killed Aunt May, like, one of the coldest things. And then even after, he laughed in his face when Peter was punching him. Definitely a top tier comic book villain. That's why he's in my top 10. Great villain. And yeah, I love it, man. Love his villain, and yeah. Next up we have plus, like, he was just a straight up menace. So I'm saying, like in the end where he was like, Peter was like about to kill him and he was still laughing. It's crazy, man. But yeah. Next up, we have Riddler from the Batman. I don't even have to explain it, man. Paul Dano's character. Acting as his character was just beautiful, man. Riddler was such a menace, man. Riddler was such a good character. Like, he actually felt scary. Like, in scenes of the Batman where he would be hiding to, like, kill his victims. Like that opening scene where he was in the background looking at the TV reflection. It felt like a horror movie. And then, like, in the car where the guy sits in the car and he bashes his head in. And, like, before that, you see, like, he's looking at him. Cold scene, man. Cold scene. And I love it, man. I love it all. And, yeah. Great. Definitely a top-tier villain. Top-tier character. And I love it, man. I do hope we maybe somehow see him again. But if not, I love... And, just, like, the whole idea of, like, Riddler. Like, he was, like, making videos, making Batman run around the city, doing riddles and stuff like that. It was just perfect. And, yeah. Next up, we got... I think this is the 10th. Michael Fassbender's Magneto. I don't care what anyone says. He is so much better than Ian McKellen. Don't get me wrong. Ian McKellen was great in the role. But Michael Fassbender brought his role to craziness. Like, he made... like he brought the emotional side to it. Like when they killed his daughter and his wife, and you hear him crying like, "No, my babies," bro, bro. Like his acting was just beautiful. His vengeance for Sebastian Shaw in First Class was fantastic, and like I hope like when the MCU redoes the X-Men and stuff like that, I hope they bring back him as Magneto. I hope so. I really hope, man. And yeah, I loved his like portrayal. He's definitely in my top 10. The thing about me is like I originally wasn't even gonna put him in my top 10 villains. I was gonna put him in my top 10 best superhero castings ever because I don't consider Magneto a villain. I don't consider him a villain. Not at all. Obviously, he does stuff that are like a villain. But like shit, my bad. Sorry. He does stuff that are like a villain, but he's not really a villain. Like he's just trying to like protect the mutants, and obviously he has like so many redemptions, like in X-Men Apocalypse, and then X-Men Dark Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? And like fun fact, X-Men First Class was supposed to be just a Magneto origin movie. Then they were like switched it up and they made it into like a First Class movie, which was fantastic. And you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I love this. You know what I'm saying? I love this villain. I mean, I love this character. Like I said, I don't consider him a villain. I consider him like Deadpool, Punisher, Loki, like an anti-hero. Same with Loki. I don't consider them a villains. Consider them anti-hero. But yeah, next up. But oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, honorable mentions. Some of my favorite ones, but the ones that didn't make my top 10 for favorites. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. He was great as Doc Ock. There's a reason why they brought him back. Because of his performance as Doc Ock. You know what I'm saying? It was great. And it was done perfectly. And yeah, I loved it, man. Next up, we got Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger. He was a straight up menace, man. He went to Wakanda. He just wanted to fight. He just wanted war, man. Like, that's all he wanted. He wanted to destroy stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it was done perfectly. And I loved it, man. Perfect, man. And yeah. His performance as Killmonger was beautiful and it was perfect, man. Next up, we have Tom Hardy's Bane. For a Batman villain, he was great, man. I loved how he was. I love one of his lines where he's like, nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask. And like that was just a cold scene. His villain was cold when he was beating up Batman and broke his mask. That was so cool. Like when he threw Batman in the pit, it was as if he actually threw him into hell. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even like figuratively or like a metaphor. Like he actually threw him into hell. But yeah, it was crazy, and I love this villain. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, he was a great villain. Great villain. Next up, we have Deathstroke. Arrow vs. Deathstroke. Obviously, the suit isn't awesome, but the acting was fantastic. He was perfect as Deathstroke, man. Like his whole thing about revenge, like him having the Miracle Crew giving him super strength and stuff like that was just perfect, man. It was perfect. And he had at the end of the series, at the end of the season, he had an entire army, and then like he obviously had a redemption story throughout the series, like in season 5, when the final episode they were like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? And they were like preparing to defeat they're preparing to defeat Prometheus, and he helped Oliver along the way. You know what I'm saying? His acting was just beautiful, man. And yeah, it was great. I also have the Sentinels from X-Men Days of Future Past. Obviously, I can't consider them like a top tier villain because like they're just like robots, but they were villains. But they're like at the time, until now, their villains were just so good. Like the whole idea, like I always loved the movie. Like I think X-Men: Days of Future Past is it is in my top 10. Watch my top 10 superhero movies. But yeah, this was just awesome, man. The fact that they can touch a mutant, replicate their powers, and like at the time, I will like imagine all the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Guardians, everybody teaming up against the Sentinels. Like I remember, I used to always think that oh man, X-Men: Days of Future Past is such a good movie. It may have not been comic accurate, but it was such a good movie. And yeah, I loved him, man. Yeah. Okay, here I have Ultron. He would have been in my top 10. He's a great villain. James Spader voicing Ultron was great. But I couldn't put him up because it was like kind of like a one-off villain. He was still great. But yeah, he was still great though. I still liked him. And yeah, he came back in What If, I know. But yeah, I still loved it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. He was great, and my I don't know if I said this in another video, but my anticipation for Age of Ultron was off the roofs, and I knew the moment the first Avengers movie ended, I knew in my head that Ultron was definitely, like, before they even announced it, like, I don't know what was in me, I just know I remember this, Ultron, because I remember watching, when I was much younger, watching the the next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow. And I remember his villain. And I remember being like, he has to be the villain. He has to be the villain. And he ended up being the villain. Which was beautiful. And yeah. Next up we have Wenwu, the villain in Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's father. He was a great villain. I loved him. Great acting, great character. And yeah. I really loved him, man. He was a great villain. And yeah, awesome, man. The reason why he's not my top 10 because he did have a redemption story and this, and that. I loved it, but yeah. I just wouldn't really count it in my top 10, but it was still great, though. Still great. Top tier MCU villain, though. Next up, we have Hela. Another honorable mention. She was great. She was a great villain. Definitely top tier. Thor Ragnarok's definitely a top tier movie. And yeah, I just wouldn't, I mean, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I wouldn't put it in my top 10, but she's still great. I loved her villain, and yeah. Next up, we have Agent Grant Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He started out as a hero, but he was secretly a villain. Like, he was secretly with Hydra, and his villain in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was just the best. Like, I watched season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it was great. Best season, but until after season 1, that's where the show went downhill until season 4. But I'll get into that maybe another video. I don't know, but yeah. His villain was just great, man. Like, he was such a good villain. Like, definitely top tier. Super underrated too. Underrated, definitely. Last but not least, we have Lex Luthor from Smallville. They built him out. They built him up to be like Clark's best friend. And after, like, as the show went on, he ended up becoming a villain. But he was so good. Like Michael Rosenbaum's performance as Lex Luthor was just beautiful. It was great, and like it was perfect, man. And I loved it, and it was perfect, man. And yeah. That's it, guys. Those are all my favorite villains. Obviously, I added the honorable mentions. But yeah, until next time, guys, peace. Take care, y'all. Please follow all my socials. And yeah, until next time, guys, peace. Take care, y'all.